Hi everyone. Today we're going to have a chat about finding new value in your S4 business case. And we're going to talk to Tarik Hussain from SMP. So Tarik, I'll let you just quickly introduce yourself.
Thanks, Stephen. My name is Tarik Hussain. I'm basically the Vice President of Strategic Sales for SMP in the Asia Pacific region.
Fantastic. And Steve Silver from Think 180 as well. Tarik, the world's changing so fast, but a lot of SAP customers are struggling to get their business cases up and move to S4. S4 has been in the market for quite a long time now. SAP have extended the deadline to 2027. Why is it that people still can't seem to get their business cases up and find a really good business case to get themselves onto S4?
Well, when you kind of said it in the question there, that the challenge what a lot of people were seeing is they were looking at this as a technical forced upgrade, if you like. So looking at it from a technical point of view, something the IT team had to do, and we're completely missing the business case and the fact that this is a really good time for you to re-engineer your business processes, look at the way you do business, and take advantage of what S4 really does have to offer. I think frankly speaking, a lot of our colleagues and a lot of our friends aren't really selling the value of S4 correctly. It's really going to change your business. The difference between the old sort of 8-bit screens and the Fiori screens, for example, just absolutely drive new ways of doing business for our customers. So the business value is really a challenge because they've looked at it technically, and what they haven't looked at is there's some fundamental changes that you really do need to take care of. The biggest change I really see is the fact that you're going from a typical model of ECC to S4. S4 is looking at a gigabyte type process. And when you start looking at the data and what you're doing, business as usual needs to change. So stop looking at your system as just adding. What do we do now? How do we clean it up? How do we get it to a new way of doing business, new business processes, and how does that really change the dynamics of my organization? And I think that's what a lot of customers build in over time, but they're scared of doing it straight from day one because they don't really know the benefits of what S4 gives them as a platform, and then how they need to look at their data more carefully going forward so that they don't massively increase their costs moving to S4, which is another challenge we comment here from our customers is, how do I reduce my costs and increase my business efficiency moving to S4? And that's the business case we really, together with guys like yourself, help them take a closer look at.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like we often hear people talking about thinking about S4 and preparing their business case, and I always come back to the too slow, too expensive, too complex, and so the business case doesn't stack up. So SMP do provide a different methodology. Can you tell us a little bit about SMP, what SMP does, and what Bluefields is?
Sure. SMP, in simple terms, is the world leader in SAP landscape transformation. To date, since our inception in 1994, we've delivered around 12,500 SAP projects globally. Some of the largest customers in the world, the likes of people like Airbus, etc. We really do look at an SAP landscape and say, how do we extract value from A to B? In this case, going from ECC to S4. And coming back to the question around what do we do differently? There's a lot of people in the upgrade market, a lot of players. What we've really done in the past 20 plus years is built a software platform that allows our customers to take the classic systems, ECC, going back all the way to R2 even, and migrate them to S4 in a much more selective way. What I mean by that is, you mentioned sort of, the difference is really in 3 key areas that we see. Number one is speed. The fact that the software is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So that means that we're taking a source to target. We've built a number of sort of frameworks to allow you to take a look detailed at your ECC system, then map that to your target S4 system. And then the software will tell you what needs to change and how it needs to happen. And it can also map the source to target rules. And you basically create those rules and it then automates that heavy lifting. So speed. In terms of the actual migration, we can combine multiple projects into one. So you don't need to do a separate BP implementation, a separate new GL, etc. You can basically do all that in one single project. And we typically see the classic approach, the manual-based approach, taking 18 months, 12 months. If you're really lucky, you can do a greenfield quicker than that, but I'll explain the difference between that in a moment. We're reducing those times from 18 months to about 5 months using the software. The second biggest value I think SMP brings to the table is in de-risking that. We set up a parallel landscape. We take a detailed look at your current landscape, ECC. We set up a parallel landscape and we upgrade that system minus the data in the parallel landscape. So in no way, shape or form do we interrupt your production system. That means you're doing all of the work, again, maybe changing all your business processes, testing out new ideas in this parallel landscape. Once we're happy with that system of being upgraded and converted to S4 and got the right amount of configuration in it, then we look at bringing the data across from the production system into that new landscape, and we bring that over in various time slices. We could say just take the last 3 years, and that's really relevant, again, back to the business case, because you might only need the last 3 years of data. You might want to put 7 years worth of data into an archive solution that we have, so that you don't need that online, and just bring across 3 years. That reduces your data footprint, which means that reduces your SAP S4 licensing costs and HANA costs. That means it reduces your cloud consumption costs, et cetera, and it means you have, going back to your other question, the best of both worlds. And what I mean by that is the traditional approach, brownfield and greenfield, we think is not the right way for most of our customers, and that's why customers look to SNP. Greenfield is basically throw everything away and start again. We've seen many customers like the idea of that because they've just done the same thing for 20 plus years, and there's a lot of stuff in their system they don't really know what's there, custom code, modifications that have happened, people have come and go. So they go, let's start again with a greenfield. Okay, great idea, but also a terrible idea because there's probably a lot of good customizations in there that you've built specifically for your business. And greenfield isn't the answer to the problem, because what you do is you start again and then you end up building all the same things you had in your old system. So you end up spending twice. Yeah, you do the job twice, which is great from an SI point of view, don't get me wrong. Good money, but you're basically recreating what you had. That's why you created that in the old system. So we think greenfield's a bit of a crazy way. Conversely, brownfield, just as crazy in the fact you're bringing everything over. I'm working on a project right now in Taiwan, a big chip manufacturer, 33 terabytes. They don't want 33 terabytes moving to S4. The HANA licenses alone would be quite cost prohibitive. And they want to move to cloud. So imagine cloud consumption and HANA licenses on 33 terabytes. But as a chip manufacturer, they've got data probably they need to reference for new chip making, but don't really need it online in the new system. And hence we're looking at probably archiving off around 21 terabytes of that, still having access to that information. So when they design a new chip, they can see what the old chips look like, but they don't need all of that into the Azure platform, which is where they're going, and into S4. So we think, again, brownfield is bad because you don't need to bring everything across and get rid of things that you don't need, because that goes back to the business case that we were talking about. How do you reduce your data footprint? How do you leverage the new technology? And these are the sort of key areas where I think SNP is really delivering value for our customers today.
Yeah. It really brings a different thinking, doesn't it? Because it changes your thinking around your upgrade from worrying about the actual upgrade process to thinking about the maintenance of your system and the costs that go with your system. So you are thinking about your data, thinking how big your SAP database is, thinking about your SAP licensing, and then doing it differently. Getting more into I don't know, the data lakes, the offline storage, or the different types of storage. And so you're really restructuring the way that you run your system and thinking differently.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. As you know, as well as me, and hopefully everyone listening, the real heart of many enterprises is the SAP system. It's where their core, most important data lies. Getting it in and out of an SAP system into a data lake, for example, to run analytics on it. A great example is one of our biggest customers here in Australia. A large mining company basically takes all of their SAP system out of their SAP systems, takes all the data out of their SAP systems and puts it into their analytics engine. And that's linked to every other system in the organization. So it's not just the heart of the data, it's all of their data. And they run then various predictive analytics on that, saying, when is this mining truck's tires going to need replacing? And the analytics will tell you, in 4 days' time. Then it can go back into the SAP system, and then that can allow it to order the new truck tire, for example. So the use of data, the understanding of data, and the amount of data are critical now for our customers to look at in a much more structured way, and a move away from just getting upgraded to why am I upgrading and what is the business value I can bring to the table.
Fantastic. Look, the other thing I think you touched on, which I think is really on people's mind. I mean, we know that most customers are looking to move their systems to the cloud, and as you go through that process, and again, you're preparing a business case, and potentially two different business cases, one for the cloud migration and one for your S4 migration. You've got two business cases of fairly substantial dollars. And so what you touched on was that you can do that in one step, and not only can you do that in one step, you can go from an older version of SAP, I don't know, it could even be a 4.6 sort of system onto an earlier ERP system and transition to cloud and S4.
You can. In fact, one of our great examples is, again, here in Australia, a large retailer where they were looking to do a number of things, which is a great example of the SMP product, is that we basically took them out of a large conglomerate. We moved them to S4 and we moved them to cloud, and we reduced their data footprint from 2.3 terabytes down to 900 gigabytes. We did all of that in one single project, including new GL and BP, Unicode conversion. We did all of that in 5.5 months. To your point, that would have been separate projects. Many people are absolutely right. They're getting a bit worried. Let's go to cloud first, and let's look at S4. We just did the whole shebang in 5.5 months, and the customers save literally millions of dollars and so much time, and get straight on with the real benefit of S4, again, of working out now, how do I re-engineer my business processes to take advantage of what S4 gives me as a company.
Right, you want to be spending your money on the value adds, and let's be honest, the upgrade process is not of a business and a business case. That's not where your benefit sits. It sits being on S4, being on the new technology, leveraging all the new features that S4 brings, not in the process of clicking upgrade.
Yeah, and the challenge we have is that many of the customers, there's horror stories out there. Let's be honest. The manual-based approach, where can't guarantee source to target data. There's a lot of people that are so worried about that technical upgrade that they are saying, right, this is 1-2 year project, it's going to take this many people, and we're saying that's not the case. Absolutely, to your point, we should be basically getting you from ECC to S4, and then you as a company with your advisors should be saying, right now, how do I take advantage of this, and how do I streamline my business processes, how do I change things around? And as some of the challenges for our customers is that some functionality is not available right now in S4 that you would have had in ECC, so you need to then spend really time looking at that. So the technical upgrade from a business point of view, just get it done. It's not rocket science in my view. And we, as I said, over 12,500 projects, over 200 S4 upgrades for us right now, using our product is proof that it can be done in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And then you get straight on with, right, now how do I get back to running my business and improving my business processes?
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I know. I think that I was going to ask you, so, is the Bluefield approach proven? How long have you been doing it, where you've been doing it? I mean, you said 12,500 migrations, 200 upgrades. I mean, they're fairly insane numbers. So it is a proven approach, and some of your customers are the biggest corporates in the market. I mean, that's a pretty good example, and a pretty good success story for what this approach can bring to different organizations. As you look at an S4 project, I guess on the too risky answer, we've talked quite a little bit about cost and data. What are the risk reduction approaches that this methodology brings, and how do they really benefit the organisation?
So risk absolutely is a big concern for many of our customers in two areas. Will it work? There's a bit of a graveyard of people that have tried the traditional approaches, quote, and given up, or have spent 5 times as much money and twice as long as they should have. And then there's the massive topic, which we haven't touched on yet, around near zero downtime. Some of our customers simply cannot afford to be offline for the upgrade. So I'll start on near zero downtime, because that's really, I think, an important topic for many of our organizations. We've been looking at various opportunities in region where they're getting quotes. I just was on a call just 2 days ago with Middle East, where they got a quote of 3 days downtime. This is a retailer, can't be down for 3 days. They're open. We took a look at it using our approach. We could get it down to 4 hours. It's 3 days to 4 hours. It doesn't matter what we charge at that point. That's going to save the company millions. But that was a great example where the approach of SMP's near zero downtime methodology allows our customers to get from ECC to S4 and minimize that disruption to the business. That's one aspect. The biggest aspect, though, as you touched on, was really minimizing the risk. The way we do it, as I kind of touched on before, was we set up this parallel landscape. So we take a detailed look at your current ECC landscape. We look at around 300,000 different data points in your current system. And we are separating the data from the system. So we're looking at the system. What does it look like? Where's all your custom code? What's going on with your ECC? We then set up a parallel landscape, and then we basically copy that system, if you like, that system infrastructure, not the data. And then from that copy in this parallel landscape, we upgrade that to S4. We know, of course, because the software tells us where all the gotchas are going to be, what's compatible, what's not compatible, what target release you want. We can literally click on the template for target release 2021 or 1909, whatever you want. And then that allows us to perform that upgrade, get it all working. At no point in time have we ever interrupted or stopped or touched your production system since we've done the X-ray, right? And the X-ray doesn't interrupt production either. So we've basically done the upgrade on this parallel system, and it's fully working. Once you're happy, I'm happy, the customer's happy. I can say, great, now that the system's S4, now let's start bringing the data over. And we work at the table level. So we bring data over in the chunks of maybe 1 year, 1 month, 1 week. That's how we achieve near zero downtime. And so then once we've got the system and the data there, then we basically say the same thing. Are we all happy? All the test runs are automated. All the test reports are audited, can be audited by third parties as well, which we do in most of our organizations that we upgrade. So once we've got the data and the system there ready and running, you can then choose which weekend you're going to switch over from ECC to the new target S4. Or you can leave it on that parallel landscape for the next 10 years for all we really care, because it means then you can actually start experimenting with what business processes you want to change. You can do all that without interrupting production. And when you're happy with what mandatory changes might need to do or what mandatory business changes might need to happen, you say, right, now that I know what I'm doing, now that I've retrained my guys in finance and how to process a sales order or whatever, then you can say, right, now I'm ready on this weekend, let's say Melbourne Cup Thursday, to move from switching off that current ECC on-premise to maybe the cloud version of S4 that we've got already and running and proven before you need to turn off and turn on the new one. So yeah, that's how we de-risk.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the data-driven approach. I think that one of the things that you do is you do your system scan right at the beginning of the process to really identify those data points to get to a point where you can virtually fix price your upgrade. And one of the things that we've often talked about is the ability to fix price the entire upgrade, not just the technical components, but also the more functional aspects of your upgrade, so that you really are de-risking, reducing the complexity of the whole project. I mean, if you take a step back and look at this methodology, it's proven, it's being used out in the market, and on the too slow, no, it's fast. You can do it in 5 to 6 to 10 months. Too expensive. I mean, you reduced a lot of the costs associated, which is generally people in an upgrade. And from a complexity point of view, you bring predefined rules. You understand the source and the target landscape and how you want to get there, and most of that's been built for you already. I mean, really just completely changes the value proposition that we've traditionally seen around like a greenfields type upgrade. I think interestingly that and we've talked a bit about this in the past, that as we're looking at the market at the moment and people are looking at bluefield versus greenfield, often the bluefield answer is coming out more expensive because people are trying to pack so much improvement into it. And so when you look at the two projects head to head, we would generally see bluefield much shorter, but the problem is that people can see such opportunity in this that they're wanting to pack all these other things in there, and sometimes it's showing more effort than it should be.
Yeah, we see that. I mean, obviously, the example I gave of move to cloud, reducing data footprint, carving out from the bigger entity and upgrading you to S4 would, in a traditional approach, be 5 projects and probably over the course of 3 years. The fact we did all that in 5.5 months, that's a brilliant thing. In fact, the CTO said that our bluefield approach seemingly does the impossible, was his quote, which was great. But you're absolutely right. If you'd spread that over 5 projects and each one of those was arguably $1 million, it's 5 million. If I said we charge 2.5 million, they go, oh, hang on, 2.5 million, but it's half the cost. So I think once people understand, and it is a bit of a really, can that be done so quickly, so cheaply, so fast, so securely? Once they understand that, then of course the value is clearly there for the entity that we're upgrading.
Yeah, I guess for the people at the conferences and more locally, are we seeing more adoption of SMP in the local market? Obviously, as we look to Europe, it's a very prolific tool. Are we seeing more in this region?
Yeah, look, we're fairly new in this region, just a few years old, but we've got some fantastic wins under our belt, some great success stories. We're happy for any of our prospects to talk to any of our customers. Having this beautiful European legacy of some of the largest customers, Airbus, Heineken, Hewlett-Packard was the biggest demerger we've ever done in the world. And customers that consistently use our platform year after year after year. We are new here, and it's taken a bit of time to establish ourselves. But I think with the wins we've got in this market, and certainly in Asia Pacific, we just completed a 38 terabyte move in China a couple of weeks ago, and I'm working on, would you believe, an 80 terabyte move in Korea. We are absolutely getting the mind share and the market share that we think we deserve, and the story is being told by the likes of guys like yourself and me, and the market's listening, because this is the message they want to hear: faster, more secure, less risk. And at the end of the day, cheaper when it comes to combining those projects. So it is a great message. It's just, fairly unbelievable, and takes a little bit of salesmanship to get the customers to see what we do. But our customers speak for themselves, and our customers are happy to speak to other prospects, because I think that's really where the real truth comes in, is listening to how we've done this for some of the largest, most complex SAP landscapes on the planet today.
Yeah, I mean, we are absolute believers, and for an organisation like ours that has traditionally consultants working in the EAM assets and workspace. I mean, we are working closely with yourselves, and we are excited by the prospects of what this brings to the market. I mean, I think it's such a game-changing way, and for those of us that make our living out of process improvement and business improvement, we've got to get people over to S4. We've got to get them off the old technology, and this is such an effective way to be able to get us there. So
just to say, to that point, Steve, I think that's one of the key benefits, right, is that we give a fixed price for that upgrade, and I think that certainty compared with that, and taking away that risk as some of the key aspects that our partnership, I think, will help our customers to see certainty in cost, certainty in timeline, and certainty in less risk. So I look forward to doing a lot more with it.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Tarik.
Thank you. Great talking to you.